Hi guys, today I want to talk about a transition that I've been playing around with in Adobe Premiere Pro, which looks a little bit like this. They call it the whip or the whip pan, and it's just kind of pushing one image off the screen and blurring it and loading the next one up onto the screen. Nice smooth transition, really easy to do, really quick. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so we've set ourselves up in Premiere Pro now. I've got two scenes here, possibly not the best ones to use for this example, but the principles are going to remain the same. Just going to transition from that image of a waterfall and video of a waterfall there through to this drone footage of a black sand beach in Iceland. So firstly, what you want to do is add the first push. So we're going to move that image from one side to the other, one image pushing the other off the screen. So we just go into the effects panel here, just type in push, and then just under your video transitions and slide, you have the push transition there. So we're just going to drop that onto the two slides. Ignore that warning, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. And as you see here, it's just pushing that from left to right onto the new scene. I think it goes better the other way, so I'm just going to click on the effect here, and then you see you've got A and B here, so that's your two slides, your two images, sorry, that you're changing between. And you have this little rectangle in the corner, and that has little arrows pointing inwards. So you can change the direction that you want to have the push move. So at the moment it's on west to east. I'm going to change it from east to west. You also notice you can push it so it pushes from down and up from the top downwards and bottom upwards. You can have this effect going whichever way you want. The principles are all going to be the same. You just need to change the arrows for it really. So as you can see here, we'll just scrub through that and it just pushes it from right to left now. So I'll just play that through. There, pretty quick transition. You can adjust the length of this as well later on if you need. So we just go back into the project. You've got this little icon down here where it's a new item. It's like a page with a corner turned up. Just click on that and then we'll just bring ourselves in an adjustment layer. So just okay that. Just bring that in. And ideally you want that to be roughly, well actually not roughly, exactly the same length as that push transition we've got there. So we'll just bring the edges of the adjustment layer in. We'll just focus in on that again. So this adjustment layer is doing nothing at the moment. So what we want to do is add an effect to that. So go back into your effects panel and then we want to add some blur. So there are various types of blur that you can use for this. This one is, I'm going to use what is called, a Gaussian blur or a Gaussian blur, Gaussian blur. I've heard it called all of those different things, but when you put in blur in your effects panel, it's the second one down under directional blur in your blur and sharpen options that you've got there. So we're just going to drag that and drop that on there. And then, as you can see, the blur's not applied yet, but we can just go and ramp up the blurriness of this. I'm going to put it around about 275, something like that. Yeah, that's about close enough. As you can see, doesn't look great. It just looks like just really messy. So the reason for that is that underneath the blurriness, you've got the blur dimensions. This is blurring in all directions, so it's horizontal and vertical. If we just change that to horizontal, then it'll just blur from side to side. So it looks kind of more like it's moving side to side rather than just a blur. So if we come back into that, and I'll just scroll back. Okay, it looks all right, not the best. It just goes from nothing to full blur straight away. So what we want to do is we want to keyframe this right in the center, so the maximum point of the blur is right in the middle, and it ramps up from the start, so it gets gradually blurrier and then goes back down to no blur at the end as well. To do that, we just put a keyframe in here in the middle, and then I'm just going to scroll back to the start of that push effect, and then I'm just going to put that back down to 0 on the blurriness, and that'll just add another keyframe in here. Then I'm just going to go to the end of that adjustment layer, and always go too far on there. clumsy when it comes to this. And then you can just hit the reset button there. And that's just going to bring in another adjustment there on the blurriness to bring it back down to 0. So let's just play that through. Yeah, that looks a little bit better, doesn't it? But it still looks a little bit like it needs some adjustment on the speed of that blur going through. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to select all of these keyframes in your adjustment layer, and then when you right click on one of the keyframes, it'll give you a few options, and you want to change that from linear, where it will be default, to Bezier, and you'll notice that the symbols should change there. What that's going to do is it's just going to gradually ramp that up, slightly smooth the transition from no blur to full blur and back again. So if we'll just play that through from the start, you've just got a nice smooth transition there. And that's it, guys. As easy as that. There are other ways of doing this. I'm sure you'll see other people giving different versions of this. I find this works for me, nice and easy. You can go on and save these transitions and have that as a preset that you can just drop into your transitions anytime you're working in Premiere Pro later on. As I say, if you're going to do this, you want to change that from a blur that goes from side to side. You can just click on this and say we want to change that from a top down one. And that's all very well there. It's all going quite good there. We want to go back into the adjustment layer though, and it's still got the blur going from side to side. So what we want to do there is just change that to vertical. And then you've got the same thing going from top to bottom. It's quite an easy change to make. I think it looks quite good. I prefer it going side to side because then it follows the track of the video. But hey, do what works for you. Hopefully you found that useful. Nice and easy, isn't it? So if you like the video, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll bring you some more tips on how to use Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects and that sort of thing in the future. Also, if you like drone videos, check out my drone stuff. I'm still not the greatest, but it's worth having a look at some of them. And if you like camper van stuff, there's lots of that on the channel as well. Okay, see you next time. Thanks.